All right, folks, welcome to 90.9 The Quadratic for your Algebra 2 Chapter 4 test review video here for page 5. All right, on 41 through 44, we're going to find the value of c that makes each trinomial a perfect square. Then we're going to write the trinomial as a perfect square. Here's what we're trying to do here, folks. We're trying to get something like x minus 7 squared or x plus 9 squared. So to complete the square, the operation is to take half that middle term. So in this case, take half of 12, you get 6, and immediately square it. When we do that, we're going to have x squared plus 12x plus 36. That's that constant we're looking for, c value. What multiplies to 36 and adds to 12 is 6 and 6. Guys, it's always half the middle term. It's both positive. So if you can write your answer both like this and like that, that would be perfect on Tuesday. It's no big deal if you have a negative. Take half of negative 18, you get negative 9. Square a negative 9, you always get a positive 81 there. So x squared minus 18x plus 81 multiplies to 81, adds to negative 18, negative 9. It's going to give you x minus 9 squared. All right, here, take half of negative 20, you get negative 10. Take negative 10 and square it, you get 100. You can have x squared minus 20x plus 100. What multiplies to 100 adds to negative 20. It's always half that middle term, x minus 10 squared there. Something interesting is going to happen here. Take half that middle term, you get 2. Square 2, and you also get 4 again. X squared plus 4x plus 4. That is the trinomial there. And then when you ask yourself what multiplies to 4, adds to 4, it's 2 and 2. Always half that middle term, so x plus 2 squared. Guys, when I give you, and I will, the quadratic formula on Tuesday, not only am I giving you the quadratic formula, but I'm giving you the discriminant. What is inside the square root, guys, we know tells us something about our answers. If I get a positive inside the square root, I'm going to have 2 real solutions. If I get a negative inside the square root, we practice that a bunch. You take the I out, 2 imaginary solutions. If this was to be 0, well, then you would just have something over twice a, and that would just give you 1 real solution. So this is the discriminant. Negative b over 2a, as we talked about on the first page, guys, that's all about the vertex. So that quadratic formula tells you a lot. So b squared minus 4ac, that's the goal here. A is 1, b is a negative 6, and c is 9. So we're going to put it in parentheses, negative 6 squared minus 4 times a times c. 36 minus 36, I get 0. 0 means I have 1 real solution. On 46 here, a is 3, b is 9, and c is negative 1. So b squared minus 4ac. Negative times a negative is going to give you positive over on the right, so it's 81 plus 12. 81 plus 12 is 93. Positive 93 means you have 2 real solutions. Take a look here at 47. A is 1, b is negative 1, and c is 9. So b squared minus 4ac is 1 minus 28. A negative 27, if I can write it here at the bottom page, means you have 2 imaginary solutions, 2 i's. And lastly, a is 1, b is 10, c is 25. So when you do b squared minus 4ac, you're going to get 100 minus 100, which is 0. 0 means you have 1 real solution. All right, in this video, guys, we're also going to talk a little bit about solving by factoring. So we're going to kind of handle all the easy factoring ones in this video, and then we'll talk more about where you should use the quadratic formula in the last video. All right, so guys, please don't use the quadratic formula when you can use easy factoring. Anytime it's just a single x squared, you got a middle term, got a constant, think about the just easy factoring. What multiplies to 8 because it's negative differs by 2? That's simply 4 and 2. If the middle term is positive, the bigger factor is positive, the smaller factor is negative. So you're going to have x plus 4, x minus 2 equals 0. Just use the cover-up method. X plus 4 equals 0. If x plus 4 equals 0, you get x is negative 4 as one of your solutions. Cover-up method again. X minus 2 is 0. You don't have to write all this out because you know if x minus 2 is 0, then x is simply 2. All right, on 50, guys, there's no middle term, so definitely don't use the quadratic formula. You guys will get confused if you have negative 0 plus or minus the square root of 0 squared. Just a mess. So just move that constant over. 7x squared is equal to 175. Divide both sides by 7. Get x squared by itself. Anytime you have x squared equals number, take the square root. We would assume 5 is the answer, but don't forget, when you square negative 5, you also get 25. So anytime you take a square root like that, plus or minus needs to be in your answer. Guys, 60 on this one, look, we can figure out what multiplies to 63. Adds to a negative 16. It's 9 and 7. That adds to a negative or a positive 16. And they're just both going to be negative. So x minus 9, x minus 7 is 0. Cover-up method, if x minus 9 equals 0, then x equals 9. Cover-up method, if x minus 7 is equal to 0, then x is equal to 7. We did a pretty good job on the quiz with these. All right, I'm also going to try to use easy factoring for 52. What multiplies to 56? Because its negative differs by, that is a 1x. That's 8 and 7. The middle term is positive, so it's positive 8 minus 7. Anyway, we got x plus 8. X minus 7 is equal to 0. Cover-up method says x plus 8 equals 0, so x is a negative 8. Cover-up method says x minus 7 is 0, so x is a positive 7. Those are our two solutions. Folks, on this one, what multiplies to 1 because its negative differs by 4? We're going to use the quadratic formula there. Anytime a is not 1, you probably want to use the quadratic formula there on 54. Let's see on the next page if there's any more easy factoring. And then our last video will be about when we should use the quadratic formula. So guys, on 55 here, there is no middle term. So there's no middle term. It's just x squared and a constant. Move that constant over. This time, unlike the last page, I need to take the square root of a negative. When I take the square root of a negative, don't forget to take out the I. So I have I root 36. Don't forget about plus or minus. The square root of 36, though, is 6. So that's why my answer is going to be plus or minus 6i. Involves I because I'm taking the square root of a negative. All right, folks, really, on this page here, we got, you know what, on 59, I made a boo-boo. I see there. I'm going to change that for you right now. There's only 2 others, it looks like, that I want to use easy factoring on. What multiplies to 6? Because it's positive, adds to 5. That's 3 and 2. So x plus 3. X plus 2 is 0. Cover-up method, x equals negative 3. X equals negative 2 are your two solutions. This one can be solved using the AC method, but you probably wouldn't use the quadratic formula. Definitely have to use the quadratic formula on 58. Probably going to want to use the quadratic formula here on 60, though it could factor. You never know. Guys, I made a boo-boo here. I definitely meant for that not to be 9. Instead, I wanted 10 and 7, which should be 3. So actually, you want to change that to 3x. All right. So wait. No. That is actually good. We're going to keep it like that. I'm sorry. Because I forgot. I was almost positive I didn't make a boo-boo. And you know what? So we're going to scratch that. This is actually good. 70 is a hard number to think of multiples. You're probably thinking of 10 and 7, which I thought I wanted initially. But also 14 and 5. If a number ends with a 0, it can be divisible by 5. Those two numbers, because it's negative, differ by 9. The middle term is positive, so 14 is positive. 5 is negative. You're going to have x plus 14. X minus 5 is 0. Cover-up method tells you x is 5. X is negative 14. All right, folks, the last video will be the final one. I'll give you the answers to all the other questions. This is 90.9 the quadratic, signing out.